What's up, you guys? Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jess, and I like to talk about movies that make you want to sleep with the lights on. Today, we are going to be discussing my thoughts on the highly anticipated directorial debut from Parker Finn, Smile. Smile follows Sosie Baker as Dr. Rose Cotter, who, after witnessing a bizarre and traumatic incident involving the death of a patient, starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. As someone who usually does not enjoy curse movies, with It Follows being the biggest exception to that rule, I really want to make that clear. I, along with a lot of other people it seemed like, was nervous and kind of just assumed that Smile was going to be another surface level movie with really bad CGI that ultimately came across as funny. And you know what people say about making assumptions.
Everyone knows when you make an assumption, you make an ass out of you and umption.
I was wrong. And you won't hear me admit that a lot, so soak in this moment because it probably won't happen again. I ended up really enjoying this movie. Sosie Baker gives a great performance as Dr. Rose Cotter, and I really found myself rooting for her character throughout that runtime. There are so many good ideas played out on screen, and it succeeds in giving us some of the most successful and truly jump-worthy jump scares I've seen all year. This movie could have easily come off as cheesy, but I think Finn took the necessary steps to move Smile along in a way that still kept our attention. So with that being said, let's talk about some things that I really enjoyed about Smile. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like Sosie Baker gave a really realistic and emotional performance as our main protagonist. You can feel her frustration and anger build against those who she thought would be on her side and would believe her, but ultimately just end up writing her off as mentally unstable. Which brings me to another point that I wanted to address. So Rose, our main protagonist, is a doctor. I think specifically she is a psychiatrist in the emergency psych unit of a hospital. And we get to experience this in her setting. We get to watch her ask questions to patients that maybe are not the safest for her to be around, but it does a really great job of making that frustration you feel towards Rose in the beginning, just because some of the questions that she's asking seem a little bit demeaning. It's incredibly frustrating to have your thoughts and feelings undermined, especially by a professional and somebody who is supposed to believe you or help you in your eyes, and they don't. What I liked that they did is they took this doctor and they flipped it on its head so that the doctor who's asking these questions to these patients who genuinely need help and cannot control what's happening to them, they put the doctor into that position. And it's really interesting to see how her frustration builds, and it really validates your feelings. You felt frustration for this character because nobody believed her, nobody was on her side, and that's the way that millions of people feel every single day. So at first I was a little hesitant on how I felt about that representation, but I slept on it, and the more I think about it, the more realistic it makes me feel. So if you struggle with a mental illness, just kind of be cognizant of that going in. It is a very heavy topic and a theme that they truly dive deep into throughout the runtime, and that's just another reason why I like it, is because it's not surface level. There are layers, and that was very unexpected and very welcome. And we can't talk about Smile without talking about those jump scares, because it's like every 5 minutes, and it's really fucking fun. As someone who thought that they were completely desensitized to something like jump scares, I had a few twitches here and there, and that was really cool for me, rediscovering the fact that something as small as a jump scare can still get to me and spook me, and that was so fun. The last positive that I want to talk about is the Smile itself. Going in, and I know a lot of other people have said the same thing, when I saw the trailer, immediately Truth or Dare stuck in my mind. Blumhouse's Truth or Dare, which was, in my opinion, not good
whatsoever.
And the way that they used CGI to enhance the smiles in that movie with the bigger eyes, it was just bad. It came across as funny instead of scary, and that's why I was nervous going into this. But as soon as I saw that first smile and that first scene, I didn't have any worries about that anymore, because they realized that someone's real smile and the way that their head is tilted down and they're looking up at you and they're smiling, that's scary. If I saw somebody smiling like that at me in a corner, I would pee my pants and run away, or like sit on the floor and beg them not to hurt me. Like, it's scary, it's unnerving. Sure, at times it's like you'll chuckle here and there, but it's more of a nervous laughter. You're like,
what the fuck is going on right now?
And yeah, now I want to move on to some things that I didn't necessarily love about the movie. And the biggest, most pressing thing that I can think of is that we have all seen this movie before. Smile feels like a gigantic pot of The Ring, It Follows, and The Grudge soup. Like, literally just handpicked all those 3 movies, put them in a pot, mixed it up, and served it to everyone. It is very clear that these other movies are a massive piece of that source material for Smile, and while I'm okay with that up to a point, there are some shots that are very reminiscent of, say, The Ring or The Grudge that just made me feel like they were almost trying to recreate it instead of warping it into something that was a little bit more original. Because of all of those similarities, I feel like it's just going to fade into the background a little bit. Let's talk about some of the acting and dialogue. Like I said, loved Sosie Bacon. I loved seeing Kyle Gallner on the big screen again in a more central role this time as Joel the police officer. I thought that was great. But there were some interactions that felt a little forced and lackluster and kind of just took me out of that movie moment. Last thing I'll say is that the runtime of this movie is 1 hour and 55 minutes. It is way too long. Smile shifts between a horror movie / detective drama a la The Ring, and I feel like about 10 minutes of that could have been shaved off and left us with a really solid, tight movie that didn't try to stray in too many different directions, if that makes sense. But at the end of the movie, I realized that I was just happy to be there in a theater and experience these jump scares and tense moments with an audience who was having just as much fun as I did. And of course, 2022 is shaping up to go down in the books as one of the best years for original horror in a very long time. So I highly encourage you guys to go support this movie in theaters. I think it's really important to support movies like this so that we can see more original concepts on the big screen. Have you guys seen Smile? If so, let me know what you think down below. If you're gonna go see it, come back, let me know, let's discuss. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you so much for clicking on this video, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, but if you really wanna make my day, just click that subscribe button and join us next time. Thanks again, you guys. I'll see you next time. Stay creepy.